Thank you. Hi, so I'm Eloise from Pedal, and this is Lauren and Zhen from Nesta. I'm just going to be sitting down because I'm not very good with standing up for too long with my back, so I'm just, hopefully you can all see me still when I'm down here. Okay, so we're going to be talking to you today about Playtime with books, which is an intervention that we've been working on since 2020. And we tested it in a project funded by the Nuffield Foundation a couple of years ago, and since then we have partnered with colleagues at Nesta to test it again on a larger scale for the last year or two now. I think it's been a couple of years. Yeah. Oh, not sure if that. Okay, I'm going to use this cursor. There we go. So just to start with a little bit of background, we know that socioeconomic inequalities in children's skills emerge early, and of these inequalities, gaps in children's language development are particularly marked, which is the strongest predictor of school readiness, and in turn influences later school success and other outcomes. And we also know that inequalities in access to stimulating and enriching learning interactions can result in early gaps in children's development. Having equitable access even to enriching learning interactions is really critical in addressing disparities in children's early development and learning, and early interventions that improve access to these interactions, in particular those that enrich the home learning environment, can help to address these. Okay, so then early interventions that promote responsive and enjoyable interactions with books, such as book sharing programs, not only can promote children's language development, but also their cognitive and social emotional skills, all of which are, again, really important predictors of their school readiness. However, despite these programs existing, some families, particularly those facing socioeconomic disadvantage, can struggle to access the programs due to various barriers, be it maybe the practical barriers, social or economic. To reach more families who might benefit, early interventions need to fit into the demands of family life and be really responsive to families' priorities, as well as being feasible and practical for services and facilitators to deliver. So virtual or online delivery provides one viable way to really reduce those delivery costs and many barriers associated with in-person support, which helps to address issues of reach and cost effectiveness. So to address that gap and to see if we can widen the access to book sharing programs to families who might not otherwise be able to access these programs, we decided to adapt an evidence-based face-to-face book sharing intervention, which was developed by Murray and Cooper, and was shown to be effective in several trials in different countries. And we decided to adapt that to see if it could be delivered through an online delivery model. And we set about testing the feasibility and acceptability of the online programme with both families and early years practitioners. So I'm just going to pass to Lauren now, who's going to talk a bit more about the partnership between Pedal and Nesta.
Yeah, thank you, Eloise, for outlining the programme so well and the history of it. So about almost 2 years ago now, Pedal teamed up with the Fair Start mission at Nesta. If you weren't able to attend Louise's brilliant talk earlier, we're the UK's innovation agency for social good, and particularly our mission at Fair Start works on a lot of issues related to early childhood, particularly 0 to 5, and myself and Jen work a lot on our parenting support work. So Playtime with Books is one of our projects. So we've teamed up with Pedal here to help deliver and scale Playtime with Books in an implementation study. So the Nuffield funded study that Eloise was mentioning, which we'll talk a little bit about today, some of the findings from that and some of the examples there, was developed as an innovative adaptation of that Murray and Cooper study for virtual delivery. And in this first initial phase, which Nesta was not part of, it was delivered to 35 parents across 6 sites in England and Wales. Currently, we're in delivery of phase 2 of Playtime with Books. So we've continued to develop and shape, adapt the program based on further research with parents and everything that was learned in phase 1. And we're currently working with 3 local authorities across England. So that's Derby, Shropshire, and Cumberland to deliver to more parents. So we're right in the middle of that right now. So the overall aim of this phase of the work, we have a lot of the similar research questions that we're looking at. So first of all, just to see, like I said, this is an implementation study, see if we can deliver this book sharing intervention virtually. With that comes with big questions around feasibility and acceptability to both parents and families, as well as early years practitioners and the support networks around them, whether that's local authorities. We have a lot of different practitioners who are currently delivering the program now with a lot of different job titles across local authorities. So is it feasible and acceptable for them? And I think under those two, for the simplicity's sake, we've narrowed it down to these two overarching questions on this slide, but I think there's really a lot of sub-questions that sit underneath this. And to help us address these questions, in both phases, we've recruited parents and caregivers of children aged 10 to 24 months, as well as I mentioned those early years practitioners working in places like children's centers, libraries, other early intervention services across England. And we've recruited parents through also a variety of ways, but through social media, existing connections, and networks that the different local authorities have. So that context looks a bit different in each place.
Okay, so I'm just going to cover what the programme involves quite briefly because we haven't got loads of time, but just so you have a little bit of an idea of how it all is delivered. So it takes around 6 to 8 weeks, and these are the core components here that you see in the bubbles, and they really relate to the original programme's theory of change that we developed at the beginning of the project. So before starting the programme, families receive a book pack, and that contains 4 different books, picture books, mainly wordless or very limited words, which the family get to keep. And after that, they're then matched with a facilitator, so one of the early years practitioners in their area. The second bubble here is the welcome or introductory stage, really, where the facilitators schedule a short welcome call with the caregivers to introduce themselves, explain the programme a little bit, and this can be either done through a video call or phone call, though we try and recommend a video call so they can start to build that relationship up from the outset. And then caregivers then receive access to our online platform, our website really, where they can watch a welcome video that outlines all the programme in a little bit more detail and everything that will happen throughout the intervention. The third component here, the top right bubble, is really the sort of bread and butter of the intervention, I guess. It's where all the book sharing skills sessions are that the parents complete on the website, and they do this in their own time, so it's self-directed. They can come and go as they please, and it should save where they're up to. And these really serve to introduce parents to all the different book sharing skills involved in the programme, that they can use with their little ones when they're book sharing, and it uses example videos of other parents book sharing so they can see how it looks to actually use those in real life, and it also has some interactive quizzes just to keep caregivers really engaged as they work their way through them. And these can all be accessed on any digital device as long as they've got an internet really. And there are a total of 5 online skill sessions altogether. And the first 4 correspond to the first 4 books in the book pack. So it's all kind of quite integrated as they go. And they ideally do one of these per week, the skill sessions. The fourth component at the bottom here is about the daily book sharing that parents are encouraged to do with their children throughout the programme to establish a routine of using the techniques with their child and practice the skills that they've learnt that week with the book of the week that's in their book pack. The fifth component involves asking the parents to record a home video clip of one of the times that they were book sharing that week, and it could be of any length. Some of them are less than a minute, some of them are over 20 minutes, so it's a real vary range that we get through. And then they share this with their facilitator. And then this last bubble on the bottom right here is the check-in calls, where caregivers have video calls with their facilitator to discuss how they're getting on with the sessions, or to ask any questions that they might have, and also receive really personalised support in the way of video feedback, which I'm going to go into a little bit more in a minute. And all of these, all of the programme really is delivered and accessed by both the parents and practitioners in this one Playtime with Books website, which Lauren is just going to talk about now.
Yes, we probably could have done a whole presentation on the creation of this website, but luckily for you, it's just one slide. So Playtime with Books is on a Moodle website or platform, and like Eloise said, this brings together everything in one place. So the skill sessions, the 5 skill sessions that are there, the uploading of the video clips for feedback, the downloading of them for the facilitators themselves, scheduling calls, as well as the program feedback and all of the data that we're collecting for the baseline and at the end of the program. So all in all, why we've created this sort of centralized hub is not just for our own ease of facilitating the program, but also for parents and practitioners to reduce that sort of administrative burden on them, also just to keep it sort of all in one place and really accessible to parents as best as we can. So just to give a bit more detail about the sort of books and skills that parents learn during the program, These are all the books of the week that parents receive in the book pack that we send them. They're used sort of throughout the program, and underneath each book you can see the skills that sort of correspond that they learn in each of the first 4 skill sessions. And these are a few screenshots taken from the skill session. So the one at the top right corner over there just is an image from one of the books that caregivers received. So you can see a few circles on the picture, and if you click on them, there's some suggestions on what caregivers could talk about. So it's all really built into this site, and the skill sessions themselves are really interactive elements, like Eloise mentioned. There's those sort of quizzes to make sure parents are understanding the material and getting the most out of it that they can.
Okay, so we're just going to show you an example video in the skills sessions and what that looks like. So these example videos really, as I said before, serve to help parents get an idea of how they could use a skill that was introduced in the session that week. And in this video, it shows how the skill pointing and naming can be used. So I'm just going to play that now. So yeah, just a little taster of one of the videos from the skill session. So every skill that is introduced in the sessions has an example video of a parent or child using it. Again, just to really help parents to see how they can use the skills themselves. So I'm now going to talk about the check-in calls, so these virtual check-in calls that I talked about with the bubbles earlier. So we recommend there are 3 throughout the programme. They were also testing to see how many facilitators and parents are able to do and that is feasible. And just a little bit about the reasons why we included this component as part of our adaptation to the virtual intervention. So firstly, a few studies that came out of COVID, including a report by the Early Intervention Foundation at the time, suggested that in online programmes, support from a practitioner was really important. And these programmes usually have better results, particularly in maintaining engagement. Therefore, we thought it was really important to add in a component in the programme which provided this personalised support to the parents from practitioners. Secondly, in the original face-to-face programme that it's based on, at the end of each of the group sessions, the programme facilitator would go around to each parent and would observe them actually book sharing with their child that they'd have there in the room as well, and maybe provide some suggestions and maybe model for them some of the skills with their child as well. So to really make up, I guess, for this loss of face-to-face feedback, due to it now being delivered online, we thought that a live video check-in call with experienced practitioners was really important. And this way they get to see and build a relationship with a real live person throughout the programme who can support them with their skills. So we thought about what these calls should include and decided it was obviously really helpful to have a short catch-up to discuss any challenges that they might be facing with the programme or the skills that week. And then also decided to add in a video feedback element to the calls to really help improve caregivers' use of the book sharing skills and to really build their confidence to book share as well. And that was a really key part of it, as to use video feedback to boost really their confidence in these new techniques that they're using. So in video feedback, the parents share this short video clip of them and their child book sharing with their facilitator, who then watches these clips before each check-in call, prepares some really lovely positive messages about what is already going really well in these moments. They then show the videos back to the parents in the check-in call, so they share their screen and play the videos, and they stop the videos at really positive interactions and freeze the frame to show the parent how well their skills are being received by their child. So that's to really try and positively reinforce the book sharing techniques that they're learning and really show them firsthand how it benefits their own child, which could be very powerful, I think, for a lot of parents to see that themselves. So the reason why we chose video feedback in particular is because it's the method with a vast evidence base in promoting positive parenting and sensitive responding. We also had a lot of experience within our team and tested the method in a large-scale RCT. So we know sort of how effective it can be and how powerful it can be as well in really boosting parenting and parenting skills. Okay, I'm going to move on to show you an example of how video feedback works. So in this video, you'll see a facilitator delivering the video feedback to a parent on the clip that they've shared with the facilitator. So at the top right, you'll see the facilitator, and then just underneath her is the parent. And the facilitator is sharing her screen to show the video clip, and she's pausing it at these really lovely moments to show how well the book sharing skills are being received by her child. So just a little taster there for what the calls can look like. And I think freezing the frames at these really specific times really helps parents see for themselves, as I said, how it benefits their own child firsthand, which can just be so effective and really helps to highlight the bond and connection as well that they have with their child, which again can boost their confidence. Okay. So these are just a few findings. I'm not going to go over them in a lot of detail, so I want to pass over to Zhen. So we had some findings from caregivers and from facilitators in our first study, and generally it was very positive. So families really welcomed the online format. They really valued the contact with the programme facilitator. They felt like the video feedback element was particularly helpful and is where this kind of magic was happening. We've got some quotes under here. And they also perceived a positive impact of the programme on both their child, on their connection with their child and their bond, as well as other sibling relationships that their child had. And then just lastly here, we've got a few bits from the facilitators who delivered it. So again, the online format had a really beneficial place, especially for those maybe living in more isolated areas, or those with disabilities that can't maybe access face-to-face support. And then also, again, really valuing the video feedback and how helpful that was in helping parents to really see what they were doing and how well it was working and the motivation behind that, really. So I'm just going to pass to Jen now to finish us.
Thanks, Eloise. So based on all the learning that Eloise and Lauren have described in the first phase, we're now moving into a really exciting new phase. So in this second phase, Nesta and Petal are working together to deliver the Playtime with books at a wider scale. So we're aiming to deliver the program to around 50 to 100 parents in 3 different local authorities, including both urban and rural areas. And we have actually so far recruited more than 20 facilitators, and some of them have recently started their welcome course, so very exciting. And so we aim to deliver the program to disadvantaged families, so for example those with low family income or those with low parental education level. And a further aim of this phase is to optimize the digital platform that Eloise and Lauren just described, and also to refine the content of the program to so following the feedback from parents and facilitator from the first phase. We have planned a detailed data collection to help us understand delivery. So before the delivery, we have already run workshops and also interviews with caregivers and facilitators in these local authorities to understand how we can best support them to throughout the whole journey, from how they can onboard to different stage of the program. And during the delivery, we plan to use questionnaires and also survey to collect data on parental self-efficacy and also children's language development, and then also caregivers' feedback on their online skill sessions and facilitators' feedback on the video feedback course that Eloise just described. And after the delivery, we also plan to use interview and survey to gather facilitator and caregivers' perspectives on how they engage with the program and the acceptability from them of the program. And we are also interested to understand and to estimate the delivery costs so we can plan for a wider scale up in the future. So I think that's all from us. And this is just our team member, and most of them are here today. So if you have any question, please do feel free to ask them. We're happy to take questions as well now. Thank you.
Thank you.